everyone. You are welcome to today's lesson. And in today's lesson, it's going to be a very short one. Our task today is to look at the solution to the assignment that was given in our previous lesson. The lesson on probability. So we are looking at lesson 4 of probability. And in lesson 4, this was the assignment. As you can see on your screens, I have the solution here, and I'm going to walk you through the solution, and you can equally see marks attached. So indirectly, it's a marking scheme which will guide you to equally mark your works that you submitted to me. However, whilst I walk you through, I will take care of all the concerns that came to bear in your submissions. So without much ado, let me walk you through the solution. However, before that, let me read the question. Remember, I've told you in every math problem, read the question, underline the salient parts, try to get the concept, appreciate the question before you start to write your solution. So here we are told the box contains 3 red marbles, 2 blue marbles, and 5 white marbles. A marble is selected and its color noted. Find the probability of selecting A, a red marble and a white marble, B, 2 white marbles. I, if selection is done with replacement, and II, if selection is done without replacement. And the way the question is structured, some of you, in fact, quite a number of you couldn't appreciate, what was demanded of you. If you look at this question, it means when you take the A, do A for I and II. Then B, you do it for I and II as well. Or you can do I, A, and B, then II, A, and B. So it means in all, you are going to answer 4 questions. And before I come to the solution itself, please take note. Those of you who took this one as maybe A and the I and II affecting only the B, I was wondering, if you are looking at A, what condition are you going to use to deal with the A? Because you don't know whether the selection was done with replacement or without replacement. So you make an assumption which, could be false. So take note. I remember in the latter part of, or the concluding part of the lesson 4, I gave you a rough idea as to how you can appreciate this question. The demand of the question. So now that I have cleared that, quickly let's go and look at the solution. So there was nothing salient for us to underline. However, if you like, if you come to I, we can underline replacement. We can underline replacement, and II as well. We can underline, without replacement, because we know that these are keywords that we have to be mindful of. So after that, what do? The first thing that you write is solution. So those of you who gave me your solution without writing solution, please let this be the last time. You will do that. So solution after solution. At the normal circumstance, I've told you every question you extract the information given that will help you solve. And by so doing, you start by writing given. However, with this information, you cannot extract them directly. So when you have that situation where you need to do some representation, then instead of writing given, you start with what? Let. So you let S be equal to, you know that we are dealing with what? Our sample space being a set of marbles. R will be, red, and there is no need for you to attach marble because you know that R, B, and W will be subsets of your S, which is your sample space. So R will be talking about red marbles, though you don't see marbles there. Blue will also be for marbles. And W, for white. So I think I wrote W for white. So let me edit this. So white. Oops. So I'm looking at white what? Marbles. That was for W, right? So it will be white, which will be W HITE. So this will be white. So let me see if I can make it a bit better. So I will erase then make it a bit better. Okay, so okay, quickly. So that will give us white. It's not what do you call it? W in brackets. Please take it so it will be white. So now my definition is clearly stated, or my definitions are clearly stated here. Then I come to, the data. It is because of the data that you made this representation. So because, and again, I've told you, because your set that you have there, you can count. You know the count. Okay, you need to know that your presentation must be put in curly brackets because you are dealing with a set. So now this implies that using the set notation to extract your data, you get the number of S, which will be the number of sample space, the number of marbles will be you sum all the marbles, okay, the various colored marbles. So 3, 2, then 5, which will give us 10. Then your number of R red marbles, 3, blue number of B will be this, and 5 respectively. So that will also give you B1. Then after that, now you don't leave any space here before you come to the AI. Remember, you only leave a line when you are moving from a sub question to another sub question. Okay, but when you are going to deal with A, you are not moving from it. In actual fact, this is the first sub question that you are dealing with. So you shouldn't see any space, okay, or line unattended to, okay, up there. I guess my point is well made. So I'm going to do A, I will do A, I, and I, then B, I, and I. Someone, like I said, can do I, A, and B, then I, A, and B. Okay, it's allowed, but I've already told you the direction that I am going to go. So that's why you need to number your numbering of your solution is very critical. So those of you who got the wrong numbering, okay, be careful. And this is small a, small b. So don't use capital A, don't use capital B. Use the exact numbering that you have in your question. Never change it. Other than that, you are giving the question your own numbers. And I repeat, never change what. That's why I always tell you, never change your questions. I always tell you, okay, number your solution precisely. So it should be exact. So at this point, we are looking at, if you take II, we are looking at probability, okay, AI will give us what? P, a red marble and a white marble. But if I'm dealing with I, then I'm talking about without replacement. Okay, so without replacement, now I can see that obviously I'm dealing with two different colors. So if I'm dealing with, I'm supposed to find probability of obtaining, okay, or selecting a red marble and a white marble. And remember, you are selecting two, okay, the first and the second. Okay, so your first selection will be red and your second selection will be white. That's a possibility. You have another possibility, which will be your first being white and your second being red. So these are two different, okay, possibilities. So on that note, like I told you, okay, if you are dealing with, you cannot deal with, if you are dealing with two different colors, okay, and you have two selection that you are making one after the other, you should know that, okay, you will always have two possibilities. Okay, so take note. Okay, that was what I wanted to draw your attention to previously, but the lesson 4, okay, that issue was addressed. So take note of that. So on that note, I will go for this one will mean PR1 times PW2. So PR1 means my first selection will be red. And red, how many do I have? I have 3. So 3 out of a total of 10. Okay, remember the selection is done with replacement. So you go and replace before you go for your second marble, which will be white. And if you go for your second marble, you are dealing with white. White will be 5. So it will be 5 over the total 10 because it is replaced. Your sample space will also be intact. Then, or if you come to this one, with this one, so your first selection being white means when you go, you have 5 white, okay, out of a total of 10. Then times end, okay, your second selection being red. Remember the first selection, which was white, was replaced. So it means your total number of marbles will be intact, your sample space intact. So if you go, you still have 3 red marbles to select out of 10. So at this point, you know, you don't use your calculator to do the whole of this. You can use your calculator to do this term and do this term, but don't do everything together. So this term, if you want to use your calculator will give you 3 out of 20, or better still, you can use your head. Okay, you know that this will go here, it will be 1 over 2, so it will be 3 times 1, which is 3 over 10 times what, which is 20. It is the same thing here, you can see. Okay, the same factors multiplying, so you still get 3 on 20. And at this point, you use your calculator straight away to get this. Okay, those of you who used your head, you will get 6 over 20 before you reduce that into this, but that step will not attract any marks. Okay, and don't forget your conclusion. There should be therefore here. If you didn't write therefore, then you are now coming to conclude. Take note of that. When you are looking for, you are moving from AI to II. Okay, you know you leave a line because you are moving from a sub question to another sub question. So in this case, to AI, what are we looking for? We are still looking for probability of selecting a red marble and a white marble. However, this time around, the condition is that you are dealing with without replacement. So what do we do? It means you know it's the same situation here. A red marble and a white marble. Okay, we're not the direction or your selection was the order of your selection was not specified. So you can have your red first followed by the white or white followed by the red. You still, okay, irrespective of the order in this situation, you still get a red and a white marble. So take note. You don't deal with a specific, okay, direction. Okay, so in this case, you are going to get your first selection will be 3 out of 10, your red. You have 3 to select from out of 10. But because the first selection was red and was not replaced, if you are going for your second selection, which in this case will be white. Your white will be intact, which is 5. However, your denominator 10 will not be intact. Remember, the first red ball was not replaced. So it means your sample space will reduce by 1. That's why you can see 9 here. So your second probability, that's the probability of obtaining a white, okay, marble on your second selection will be 5 out of 9. You come and do the same analysis here. Your first selection being white, how many? You will get 5 out of 10. Then times your second selection being red, you still have all of them intact. So it will be 3 out of your total sample space will reduce by 1 because the first white which was selected was not replaced because of the condition. Okay, so take note of that. Let me pick, okay, the laser so that you can see clearly. Okay, so that will give us 3 out of 9. Again, use your calculator to do this, or mentally you can do this. You can equally do this separately, but don't use your calculator to do everything. Okay, so the first term, if you simplify, will give us 1 over 6, plus your second term that you have there, if you simplify, you get 1 over 6 as well. So if you add this mentally, you get 2 over 6, which when you simplify, you get 1 over 3. If you use your calculator straight away, it will give you this. However, if you use your head, you are going to get one more, okay, step, but you know you can use a calculator to do this. So that step, okay, wouldn't attract any marks per the scheme here. Again, if you come to B, so we are going to do B, I, and II. Okay, so BI, therefore, what are we looking for? Probability of selecting what? 2 white marbles. So that will give us 2 white marbles in brackets. So with this one, you can see that it will be P, okay, W1 and W2. Because the marbles are of the same color, okay, take note. With this one, you don't go and do or, because let me change this one to and right. Just as I explained, I'm going to explain again. So if you go for the other one, which will be the other one too will be W1, okay, and what W2, which basically is the same as this. Okay, so in this situation, there will not be a different order because all the order will give you what you have here. It's the same. If you go for your first being white and your second being white, okay, the other one too, it will be the same thing. So it is only when your marbles that you are selecting are of the same color that you always have one what possibility. Otherwise, when you are talking of distinct colors, then you have more than one. Okay, take note. Okay, so in this case, okay, having explained that and uh, giving you all the gist, I guess I can continue. So in this case, what do? I know that this will give me PW1 times PW2. Okay, so PW1, remember, the condition is the selection is done with replacement. So if your first one is white, you get 5 white out of a total of 10 times the first white that you selected, you will replace. So it means your second selection, which will be white, the white will still be intact. So you still have 5 white marbles to select out of a total of 10. Okay, your sample space will equally be intact because the selection was done with replacement. The first white marble was replaced. Okay, so your white will be intact, your sample space equally intact. Okay, then if you simplify this using your calculator or even mentally, you get this will give you 1 over 2 times 1 over 2, which will give us 1 over 4. Okay, so that gives us the answer. You can see the marks allotted there. Then II is the second one. So BII. Again, you are looking at, therefore, P2 white marbles. Okay, and that will be equal to PW1 and, okay, W2. That's the probability of selecting the first one being a white marble and your second marble being white as well. So in this case, the selection is done without replacement. So if you go for your first selection, your W that you have there, your white, you have 5 out of 10. By your second selection, remember the first white that you selected for your first one, your first selection, okay, it was you didn't replace it. So it means if you are going for your second selection for white, the white will reduce by 1, and therefore your sample space will reduce by 1. So your second selection, the white, you have 4 to select out of what? 9. Okay, and that gives us what we have here. At this point, you can use your calculator or do it mentally. You end up getting this. Okay, so take note. The total marks will be what? 20. So whatever score that you had, okay, you indicate on your first page, okay, your score over the total. So if you had 20, okay, you write 20 over 20. If you had a 19, you write 19 over 20 on top of your first page, boldly written, and you capture your marked version and send it to me as well for me to go through. Okay, so please take note. Your extraction, your representation is B1. Your data extraction in this case will also be B1. Okay, and every step on the way, you must write equal to. This is your first step, second step, third step equal to. So steps, all the steps equal to distinguish your steps from each other. Don't ignore all the any of the equal tos for the step. Come and write equal to wherever you want to know. Every step should have an equal to sign if you are dealing with an expression, unless it's an equation where every step should take the implication sign, or you can ignore. Okay, so I guess my point is well made. Those of you who treated it as, okay, A standing on its own and B, okay, you will get the B mark, okay, for I and II. You will lose 2 of the marks. Okay, so you lose AI and AII marks entirely. So take notes, take your time, read the question, understand the demand of the question before you start solving. Okay, so by so doing, you protect our cherished what marks. Okay, so on this note, thank you very much. Okay, for your attention. God bless us all.